What's up, everybody? It's episode 154 of Value Town. I'm ChanManV, and today we've got Gaara, of course, joining me as always. What's up, buddy?
Not much. Just happy that the patch is out and we have a lot of new cool Hearthstone to play.
Yeah, for sure. You moved on me again, dude. You are the worst about centering on this camera. I swear, I'm gonna have to be moving it throughout the show. But we've got a special guest today who actually you haven't been on Value Town in a while, right? So when's the last time you were on the show, Neirea?
I think it was around 2 years ago.
Yeah. Oh my God, man. Backlog. But we got Neirea joining the show. Obviously, one of the best players. He's a player that was, competing in the World's Finals, fresh off that. But how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I haven't played much recently, but I watch a lot of streams, so I kind of know what's up.
So you just taking a break? I mean, what's the deal? Like not playing?
I usually don't play in the start of the season much. I try to hype it up myself so I can go more games in the late season.
Yeah, makes sense. It's kind of like me. I thought all the pros played in the beginning, and just like highly competitive, rank 10, rank 9 is highly competitive. But I think it sounds like you're taking more of an efficient approach, which is like, let those guys get to legend and I'll just do my grind. Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yes, I'm very efficient.
Yeah, definitely. Well, guys, if you guys didn't know, ValueTown is supported by the patrons at patreon.com/ValueTown. You guys are the ones that make the show happen. Also, HS Replay, this show and episode is brought to you by hsreplay.net too. So go and check out that site. We'll be talking about the site a lot during this episode, so be prepared for that. But today's going to be all about talking about post-patch. And now that it's been out for a little bit over a day now, we want to really talk about just how people are, how people are reacting to it. Maybe got some stats on the first 8 to 10 hours, and how people, reacted immediately to it. So we'll be talking about that. We're talking about, so we're spotlighting a deck, Kingsbane Rogue, just since I know a lot of people were talking about it pre-patch. So I figured we would, kind of get a chance to really discuss it thoroughly, given that it's a pretty interesting and fun deck. And then we've got Mekkatorque's Workshop returning. So we actually got 3 cards that, some fans and patrons made. And so it's always a good way to give some ideas to Blizzard. And we want to do it every once in a while. So made sure that a few of the guys that have been submitting cards were going to be included in it. And then Q&A, as always, at the end. Go ahead and email those questions to valuetown@chanmanv.tv. And we'll try to get them on. All right, well, why don't we start off with just how you guys are doing? I think the last show that we did, it was literally the last day of the season. So I know Gaara had to rush off and really get in that NA grind, at least the last few hours of NA grind. But yeah, just how did you guys end up doing? Maybe start with Neirea. What servers did you compete on?
I tried a bit Europe to get out of the dumpster. I haven't got much time to play after Worlds. So I kind of had to play on one server, so it was an A, and I still haven't played that much. I tried to set up ranks until the last few days, so to be around top 100, and then just play on the last day, last 2 days.
Right.
So yeah, I ended up not going for high finishes because I could have just not get a finish at all. So I went for safe approach and finished top 100.
Yeah, I mean, was it even possible to just play on the last couple of days this season? I mean, I feel like it was crazy competitive. I mean,
you have to. If you don't play it, you
I mean, like you played way more than the last 2 days, right? I feel like people had to play almost the last week straight to actually end up doing
I don't think it matters. It only matters to set up for good rank on last 2 days. Yeah. So if you set up to top 100, top 200, let's say. Yeah. On the last 3 days, then you actually start climbing. Because before that, even if you rank 1 on the last 5 days before season finishes, you'll be outside of top 100.
I see. Okay.
I mean, the craziest, most famous story is the Orange story, right? He got rank 1 legend a few hours before the season ended. Rank 1 legend, and he didn't get a finish for the season.
That's crazy.
He dropped to around 10, and then he started playing. And
if he started playing, that's his fault for starting to play and trying to get higher. But
yeah, that was a mistake.
Yeah. No, it's pretty brutal. I know this time I was watching obviously Watchstone and Gaara. You were doing it with Saiyan, and it seemed really stressful this time around.
I was watching too. I was like it was 9 a.m. for me, like when it was ending last hour, and I was just like almost sleeping, just watching what rank I will finish.
I was pretty happy that this time it wasn't that stressful for me because I got to rank 6 legend like 6 hours before season ended, and then I just dropped to 12, and so that was like pretty chill. Asia was like super hard though.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean
some
that was after you stayed awake almost like two
yeah.
days in a row, basically.
This is really like the advantage of playing on 2 servers. It's like you try on both so hard, right? And then if you don't make it on one server, you have the second server, and this is what happened to me this time. Like sometimes you just can't figure out the meta on one server. Like it really switches like the metas on EU, NA, and Asia. And I also notice it now where I literally climb on the same rank on all 3 servers. I climb to like one rank and then I switch servers and I simultaneously climb all 3 servers. And it always feels a bit different what people are playing. Like a little bit more aggro, a little bit more control, anti-control. And you can't really play the same deck on all 3 servers to climb. Like I'm trying it, but like it's crazy with like, for example, I played an anti-aggro control log. On one server, I got 90% win rate. And on the other server, I have 30% win rate because nobody's playing aggro. It's crazy.
It could be sample size too, but to your point, definitely it's been proven historically that the meta is different on the different servers.
It
so
also changes like every hour.
Yeah, exactly. So how did you finish in EU, Gaara?
On Youth, I didn't play. I played Asia and NA.
Oh, and yeah, how'd you finish in Asia then?
It's crazy because I was at 200 6 hours before season ended, and I knew I couldn't finish, so I stopped and went to bed.
Okay.
And to prepare for NA, because like it's crazy. You need so much time to climb from like my goal was top 20, and from 200 to top 20, you need more than 6 hours. Like even if you have crazy win rates, just because so many people are trying.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of alluding to when I was talking about just having to put like all that work into going into the last day and last 2 days is I felt like this time around you had to position yourself even higher than even before, just because so many people were playing, right? And it was
also the win rates of the top players is so low. I think it was it kept at around 57%.
Maybe even lower.
Maybe even
lower. And that is the best players. It was so high rolling. Like everyone played Razakus Priest and Q Block, and you couldn't counter it. You had to play the same decks. And you were happy with 57% win rate.
Yeah, I mean with the 57% win rate or anything like 55 to 57.
It's like rank 1 legend win rate.
Yeah, exactly. There's only so much you can climb. You know what I mean? Like, you're to your point with the Asia thing. If you're in 200, it's really hard to climb with a 55-57% win rate. To the point where you can actually start getting some significant points. So, this whole ladder meta is really fascinating too. Just how to, or HCT point meta is very interesting, and this even changes too. Like we were talking before the show that you guys think that the first month is always the worst one, or the one that the most people play. So do you anticipate this month being bad at all at the end of the season?
Like the people that didn't make the first month, right? Like not even top 500, they would be way too demotivated in the second month to try as hard.
Yeah.
Like the first month is always the hardest, especially the first month of a year. Like, because then the hype is the absolute biggest. People are going for last. People have like the biggest goals. It's kind of like with working out, New Year resolution. I'm going to work out every single day. I'm going to the gym. It's like, I'm going to finish rank 1 legend. I'm going for those HCT points. I'm going to play every pro tour.
And then you get there and you're like, I'm a little tired. Like, no.
January ended. You didn't get like top 500. You're like, I'm going to quit Hearthstone.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I see. So there's a lot of motivation in the beginning, and it just starts to wean off or it starts to deteriorate a little bit depending.
But there's also another thing. You're super burned out. For example, I myself, if you super try hard like almost every day in January to get a top 20 finish, like in February to transition to February and continue tryharding is so hard. this is what like why it's so smart what Neirea is doing, for example. He's doing
Like a break.
as a specific break. Like it's very important to do it like that because you really get burnt out because you have to play so much, and to that you can get that finish in the following month.
Well, the
Very
good
few
news.
people can just.
Well, the good news is that's probably going to, well, the amount of work that you'll have to put in, is going to at least decrease by half, right? After February, because you're only going to go down to rank 4 after that. So it will be better, thankfully, after this month. But you still have one
for
more
sure.
month of grinding, yeah. So,
It will be a huge difference.
I think it helps, but I didn't have any problems climbing into Legend at any point. I think it's more problem of just like maybe stressful, just grinding the last days. Like to get Legend, especially if you don't climb in early stages and you climb like around 10s, 15s, 20s of the months, then it's not that hard. You just get it like in 1-2 days. In 2 days.
Not all of us are as good as you, Neirea. Oh my god, that's so.
I mean,
make it sound
like,
so easy, man. Yeah.
2 days ago, I played Rogue. Like it was like 5th or 6th even of the month.
Yeah.
4th even.
Yeah.
I think it was 4th, like 3 days ago even. I played Tempo Rogue, just like jamming games off stream, and I got to rank 5 like in a few hours. So
okay, so that's a great win percentage. Like
you just
gotta
70+
win percentage.
Get some games quickly, like not caring too much about it.
Yeah, I mean, getting with all the bonus stars and everything, I mean, getting to 5 is it can be a pretty quick thing.
Yeah,
right? If you streak hard. Yeah, if you streak really hard, you get there super fast.
So that's what I mean. Like, it doesn't change much because to get to rank 4 even, it's not that hard. The hardest part comes with like from 4 to 3, from 3 to 2, and so on.
Yeah,
it's like it goes really slow, especially now with like all Legend players will be there, so no one is slacking in the start of the season. So you'll play against all those players who were Legend before.
I mean, I still think it's going to be good. It probably still just shaves off like a day or two off of like when you would normally start. Like if you're going to actually just wait. I think a lot of people get into Legend quicker, and then so you can start up. You can start your grind, probably a couple days earlier than you normally do.
I think it won't change any dates on the grinding like for the Legend rank, but it would change the value of actually streaming or playing in the first days. It will be kind of competitive. Who will get like Legend first even, or just in general, like you play against good players from the start of the season.
Yeah.
So it won't be like that period of months when half a month you don't play against good players most of the time until you get Legend.
Well, I think on the first day of the season, you do have that. That's the whole reason for like the rat race and everything, right? Like definitely all the good players are playing each other on that first 24-hour period. But then it starts to disperse, and people are playing at different times and things like that. So to your point, I think people will probably run into each other, or at least a larger volume of good players throughout the day. But is there a big difference between running into the same good player versus a new good player? Because that's really the only difference, right? I mean, there's still going to be, I guess maybe at times whenever there was a larger or whenever we have the current kind of ladder, that once you got to the higher ranks, then there really weren't many people there, so they would matchmake you poorly. Is that?
Maybe that's what happened.
Yeah, maybe that's what happened. So to your point, the matchmaking will probably be better. Yeah, like right off the bat, and that will make for harder games. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It will be so much better in so many different ways. Like we have a complete MMR reset. Like rank 1 Legend player will face with some random player.
Yeah, because they have to. There's a timer on it, right? They can't sit. They don't want to wait, or at least the algorithm currently doesn't want to sit there for like 10 minutes until they actually find somebody that's actually an equal to you. So they'll put you against somebody crappy, right? And it's easier to climb whenever they do that. So yeah, that will happen a lot less this time around.
I mean, it's a blessing and it's really bad at the same time, right? If you have super fast queue times, we have very few games where you have that fast queue times as in Hearthstone, right? Even on the high Legend, like even if you rank 1 Legend and you have like a less than 1 minute queue time most of the time, it's kind of crazy in Hearthstone.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's obviously
it's a usability thing, right? They did that on purpose because they just don't want people waiting forever.
Yes, but you get paired with like
yeah. I think they could change. They could actually change it. Like I think the higher rank you are, I bet the higher rank somebody is, the more tolerant they are of longer queue times. So I bet they could actually alter that algorithm so that's how it works. But right now they seem to have one algorithm across the board, and obviously it benefits in certain people get benefits in certain areas. You know, some people obviously don't. But generally speaking, they don't want you waiting forever for a game. It's the same thing in Overwatch, right? Like a lot of people complain for a long time about Overwatch, just queuing up too quickly, and there's like you'd be playing against guys 2 ranks below you and stuff like that. And then they up their queue times now too. So like the Grandmasters and Masters, I think, have much longer queue time than before. So maybe they'll do that in Hearthstone eventually. Okay, well, kind of moving on, obviously the big announcement was, the patch is coming out, or the patch was out. So why don't we just kind of jump to that? And there's a few other bits of news, but I figured we would just kind of jump into the meat of the discussion right off the bat. So yeah, patch 10.2 came out roughly around 1 o'clock Eastern yesterday. So it's been about 27 hours now that we've been getting a chance to experience what we were thinking would be a completely new meta. So what have you guys seen? Like Neirea, I don't know, have you even played? Like I think you said you might not even been playing with the new patch yet.
Yeah, I haven't played. I was watching some streams, like what people were trying to play, and it didn't surprise me that people kind of playing the same decks. That's usually what happens. Even on the start of the new expansion, people are just playing what they know.
Right, right.
And so we'll get some meta soon, like of the maybe secret mages, control warlocks, and stuff. Established meta, and then some streamers, good players, will start trying to counter it. And if it was successful, then that deck will be a meta deck, and it will just go on.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, Gaara, what'd you notice? Like, we're about to talk about some stats in a second, but I just what'd you notice, like, just generally?
So I played around 90 games since the patch, which is quite a lot.
Yeah. Wow.
And it changed in the very, very beginning. Everyone expected Q block. Everyone hyped it up, right, on social media. Warlock will be the best deck, and then so I started playing on Asia, and I faced Kingsbane. I didn't face a single Warlock. I only faced like Quest Mage.
Crazy. Like
Quest Mage, Kingsbane Rogue, Quest Rogue, like only counters the Warlock. And I played Warlock, and it was so frustrating.
Right.
They're like, where are all these Warlocks? And yeah, so but I still managed to climb the Warlock. It's like Quest Rogue, for example, is I think it's probably unplayable without patches. Like you really need patches in that deck. But I can see Quest Kingsbane Rogue to become more refined and being like a dominant deck in the meta, because it's better versus aggro, because aggro got nerfed a lot with corridor creepers being nerfed and patches being nerfed. So that will be like a dominant deck. And later, like after like 6 hours or so, the first people tweeted, "Oh, I got fast legend with secret mage," and then I started.
Dude, I had felt that wave too. I felt that exact wave once people.
It happens every time. Some guy gets like rank 1 legend with a new meta, new expansion, and then everyone plays the deck. Yeah. The same happened with Q block, I think, before Seed Story.
I mean, secret mage is pretty good against Warlock too, I think, right? Like I think statistically. So, so what rank were you? Just so everybody is listening and watching, what rank are you right now? Just what range, like, were you playing?
I'm rank 4 on Asia, rank 4 on Europe, and rank 5 on NA. So part of the same rank on all servers.
Okay, yeah. So I'm in that rank 10 area, like right now. I mean, just in that roughly plus or minus like 1 or 2, when playing like the patch. And dude, so I had the complete opposite, like experience. A quarter of my games were Warlock, and they were all Q block in the very beginning. So I ended up playing like this big priest that was just literally just trashing the Q block. I think I was like 14-1 or something against it. And then I started seeing a ton of mage, but then I saw, a bunch of Murloc Paladin and then maybe some maybe Shaman Hunter here and there. Definitely no warriors. Not very many priests. Maybe a decent number of priests. I didn't actually play many rogues though, so kind of maybe a little bit different down there. Well, actually, I kind of look. a little bit more. Well, actually, it won't be a look specifically in these ranges, but we'll kind of collectively look at it together. So what I did, guys, is I now that I'm working obviously with HS Replay, we did some queries just to kind of like see what the first 8 hours of the post patch was looking like compared to the same time period before the patch. So we were just kind of comparing it just to see like what deltas are, what the differences, like in win rates and popularity rates. So what you're seeing right here is just like general class ranks. So this is just like how generally what are people playing right now? What are the win rates looking like? And the number of games, we probably in total had like 1 million games to work with. They're all broken down differently, obviously, but that's about like the sample size we were getting here. And you can see that the delta popularity definitely mage, probably because of that that area that with the tweet and everything, and then warlock, right? So no surprise there. But then we saw, I guess, paladin's down a little, which kind of surprised me a tiny bit, and then rogue and priest, I guess, don't surprise me that much. Anything kind of stand out to you guys in terms of like popularity? Any of this surprise you at all?
Oh, the popularity?
Yeah.
Not as much as the win rates, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at the win rates then. So the win rates, actually, this should be green. This shouldn't be. This 2.95 should be green. But so the win rates looks like mage is up quite a bit, and these are all percentages, right? And then hunter's up, which I guess not a surprise given that warlock that's obviously a counter to warlock. And then paladin's up a little bit. So warrior's down, I guess. No surprise there. I guess, whatever pirate warriors were out there probably took a huge hit. Yeah, I know. What things stand out the most to you?
For me personally, Hunter, because Corridor Creeper was an important card for Hunter, I would say. Hunter was already kind of weak. Like, very few people played Hunter. And now Hunter got nerfed a lot. I think patches was also kind of important in Hunter. And Golakka Crawler was one of the main reasons why you even played Hunter, to like get this huge tempo swing against pirate decks, and now you have one less 2-drop. And Priest should have been one of the good matchups of Hunter as well. Like, you used Hunter to counter Priest in most cases. And Corridor Creeper is a beast, you lose that as well. And that Hunter is still like performing good on paper. That actually surprised me the most.
Right. Okay. Some of the other things that so this is just kind of a general class type of query there. Also was able to pull some. I mean, you can actually see like wild classes too. I did kind of wild in arena just to kind of look, and I mean, I know we don't talk too much about wild, but kind of similar results here, I would say. Actually, the win rate delta is up a little bit for warrior, but it's probably close enough that it's probably even. Just from a sample size standpoint. See arena. I just did a little bit on arena, but moving on to just kind of like I guess I think we did a query from classes from legend to rank 5. So this is a little bit smaller of a or at least a more focused sample here instead of just like everybody. So we can see that warlock's win percentage actually went down, which is kind of maybe indicative of what you're saying, right? There's so many counter warlock decks right now.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Look at the hunter one; it went up 8%, which is
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because
makes sense.
Yeah.
I think like with Corridor Creeper and especially patches nerf, which is the biggest one. Hunter and Mage, also Paladin, kind of lost the direct counters, which is Tempo Rogue and Zoo. I mean, Zoo not that much, but it's still like I would say Tempo Rogue mainly. Like, it was the deck that just farms all the aggro decks.
Yeah, Tempo Rogue took a hit for sure. Look at that.
Yeah, so basically, Hunter was like it was pretty bad against Rogue. Like, let's be honest. And so by losing that counter, just you can farm those warlocks with double spell break in your deck and just smoking them down. You're not doing. I guess you're doing not as well against paladins, but since population is not that high for them, so it's fine. Yeah,
so Paladin's doing really well because Murloc Paladin barely got affected by all this. And I don't know, maybe even some Murloc Paladins still play Creeper, who knows? But for the most part,
you don't really need Creepers.
Yeah,
you don't really need
exactly.
Creepers
I don't think you even need it at all, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we're seeing here. And then the warrior, of course, took a huge hit there. And if you look at popularity, so the mage again, super popular at the higher ranks, but then the priest took a huge hit because of Raza, right? And then rogue and druid down. So druid's down. Interesting. I guess aggro
It
druid's
also
down,
makes
right?
sense.
Yeah.
That makes
Uh,
super sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's not because of aggro druid. It's because of
J Druid.
J druid.
Oh,
J
J-
druid just loses to warlock.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
And you play
That
J
makes
Druid
sense.
to counter Razakus Priest. Razakus Priest was your best matchup for J Druid.
I think it was the same story as like in one of the patches when Handlock was popular, when Patron was popular, right?
Right.
And then Patron got nerfed, and Handlock was like pretty bad. No one
Yeah.
played it.
Right. Yeah, so we actually have the rankings too. So the rankings kind of, you can see how the rankings changed a little bit too. So Mage, obviously got upgraded a lot, while the other two kind of fell, or other three just fell down a little bit. Warlock's still I think Warlock's still on top though. Let me see. Yeah, Warlock's still on top. Okay, so that's kind of how the class is laid out. So now we're going to look at some of the cards. So I broke down some of these cards in terms of popularity, and the green ones are the ones that rose, guys. Red, obviously the pink ones are the ones that dropped. So at the top here, we actually have Spellbreaker at the top, which is
it's so frustrating.
It's crazy how popular. It's like #1 right now. Like in the
I'm facing Q blocks that run double Spellbreaker. It's like
so crazy.
insane to think.
I played it even before the patch.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, Spellbreaker was already high. I think it was already
that was
number 2.
Spellbreaker.
It was number 2, I think, going into this. Yeah, pre-patch number 2, and then now it's like #1 after post-patch because it's gone up even more. So
This is why Warlock is not so good. Like you have these counter decks with Quest Mage and stuff, but if every deck runs double Spellbreaker, it makes Warlock so much worse.
yeah,
Basically the only way to counter Spellbreaker is like drawing a weapon, so you can cube your stuff.
yeah. Or I just play mind control, and Gaara thinks I'm crazy for playing mind control.
So greedy.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, if you play a greedy
20%.
big priest, it just
I played
cracks
against
all-
one of those.
Dude, it's so
It
fun.
kind of sucks when your Void Lord gets mind controlled.
Dude, I literally just take damage like through turn 7, 8. It's like, just hit me with whatever. I don't care. I'm not going to kill that thing and give you anything to kill it with. So unless you Dark Pact it and know that I'm going to mind control it, I'm going to get that sucker. So it's pretty funny. Yeah. So anyways, looking at more, we're talking about silence, right? But silence itself was actually down because I think just because priest is down, right? Like people are just not playing priest as much.
Of course.
Arcanologist is up, of course, because mage is super popular right now. N'Zoth. Okay, so this is interesting. N'Zoth is up 21%, or not 20%, but the rank. Sorry, this shouldn't be percent. This should just be just rank. So let me change that real quick. But it's because of control, right? Yeah.
I think every Q block that didn't play N'Zoth before is definitely playing N'Zoth now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because giants lost their value. They're not good anymore because priest is not good anymore.
Yeah.
You don't really need giant anymore. Also, J Druid is not popular, so what matchup do you want giant in? So just cut it, play N'Zoth, play second Spellbreaker, let's go.
Exactly. That's the life. You got to enjoy N'Zoth before he's gone. So you better enjoy that 2 months that he's got left. Mortal Coil, of course, same reason, just because Warlock's gotten more popular. Dirty Rat made a little bit of a rise here. Popularity went down a little bit, but rank-wise went up a little.
Sending people at that in control lock to counter other control locks.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You think so? Just for the Rins and stuff like that? In the
I wouldn't be surprised if Nosferatu is also up. Nosferatu, Dirty Rat.
Yeah, Nosferatu. Oh god. I don't
Super
see
greedy
Nosferatu on here. Yeah, we just queried the top 20, and then I included Corridor because Corridor wasn't. I think Corridor wasn't on, or Razo wasn't on there.
Like Warlock was already good versus aggro, and now without Corridor Creeper, you just can build the greediest Warlock deck.
That
you could humanly possibly can build.
Yeah. You just need the first clear to clear the first board, and then you're done.
Yeah. So I know we're kind of going to the bottom here, just seeing the ones that actually dropped. Actually, I don't have Raza on this. I'll have Raza on more of the overlying list, but definitely the 3 cards that got nerfed made the top 20. In terms of just the top 20 cards period. So we saw drops like across the board here. So most of these are I would say priest and pirate, like centric. I think all of them are actually. So silence, bone mare.
Cards.
Yeah. So we've definitely seen. This is kind of expected, right? This is the type of thing we would have expected. that kind of drop. Yeah, nobody's gonna play Potion of Madness like without Raza Priest. So, yeah, it's definitely good. Let's see if we look at just all ranks. Just kind of looking at more from a high level standpoint. Then similar thing. Well, it looks like Geist is up. Geist is up a little bit, I would say. What's Geist good against right now? I guess just Warlock, right? Just the Dark Pact. Yeah, and then the combo.
It's big condition versus enough fire.
Yeah, okay, it's still good then. Spellbreaker obviously still high.
Also good against Kingsbane Rogue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, true. Oh, that's true. Actually,
that's how Warlock beats Rogue. You get a very fast Geist and mill both deadly poisons.
Yeah.
I was still winning against those.
Yeah, you can still win, but it's like you need to do that as the Warlock.
Yeah. You need Valera.
Yeah. So what's interesting is like Bone Mare's ranked only went down 1. Like even with it, being like 4% less popular, it didn't actually go down that much.
I'm pretty sure people are just not playing it right now. So like maybe too little of sample size.
Yeah.
I faced a couple of Bone Mares. It was funny. Like some spiteful Murloc Paladins that play Bone Mare.
Did you? Okay.
Oh,
okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's
it wasn't very strong. Like over head. It was very good.
Yeah, I can imagine. Okay, so another thing I did was just like kind of like do a query just on some of the just the archetypes, right, that are still popular. If you guys have been on the site, we obviously divide a lot of the stats into different archetypes too. And this is overall. So this is this is rank 10 to legend. And at least if the archetype has at least 100 games, we included it. So you can see like at least the top 15 I ended up color coding. We see a lot of mage, obviously, on top, and I think we discussed a little bit of that. But then we actually still see Raza Priests, like, on this list. So I think that's really interesting, at least from a behavioral standpoint, because, of course, our knee-jerk reaction is that nobody's going to play Raza Priest. And that might be the case at certain at ranks, but clearly people are still playing Raza Priests. And why do you think that is? Like, is it still good?
I know why it's happened.
Okay, why is it?
It's because on mobile devices, a patch update went live later.
Oh, so, that's true.
You could play the previous version of the game.
Oh, well, that's not. So that doesn't apply here because we don't actually get mobile stats. So this is just PC stats.
Sometimes you can just queue the game before, or like not queue the game, not restart the game. So until you restart the game, you're playing an old patch.
Oh, that's true too. But that's still a lot of games, though. Okay, what's your theory, Gaara?
My theory is that obviously the majority of the player base is casual, and they only have very few decks, and they, disenchant all the bad cards to craft 2 or 3 top tier decks. And right now that we don't have a new meta in a new tier 1 deck, people just wait before they make a new deck, like because they just save their dust and. Like maybe they haven't even disenchanted the Rosaria or whatever. They just don't know what to play it.
Right. Yeah,
they're waiting for Colento to post a new deck.
Well, so this query though shows win rate. So Raza Priest is winning. Regardless of the fact that they're playing it, still, and why that is, whether it's out of, like you said, like lack of cards or laziness or just experiment. Why is it still winning?
It's not god awful. It's not a god awful deck. Right. Like you still have to build. I mean, it will be bad. The thing is, we have a super optimized Razakus list. Like thousands of people, all the best players in the world, optimize that list. And the only change is that the mana cost went down to 1. It's still like it used to be the best deck for like 3 or 4 months. I don't know for how long. The most optimized version of a deck, and it takes more time than just one day to destroy that deck completely. Like. I'm pretty sure in 1 week from now, nobody will play it anymore. But in the beginning, it does make sense. Completely unrefined meta. And the decks that are rising up in popularity are like Secret Mage. You don't need Anduin Raza or like Velen combo to beat Secret Mage. You just need to, Kazakusun 4 and then get a good potion or whatever. Or like Murloc Paladins and whatnot. Like even against Warlock, you don't need to OTK them most of the time.
Yeah, just like most of the time you just clear the board, but if you go Raza 5 under 8, you still can beat Warlock until they get Gul'dan themselves.
That's right.
Yeah, it's pretty big deal to get Raza on one mana hero power, so you can't like spam it every turn to get out of range against aggro decks. But it's not that big of a deal against aggro.
Yeah, I mean, it's like an extra turn, right? Like I would say generally with Roster Priest, they make no adjustments. It's probably another extra 1 or 2 turns to win the game, versus, you winning that game with a crazy, crazy combo. It takes you 2 turns to do it now, or maybe even more. So that just kind of tells you how powerful this deck was to begin with when it was optimized, with that, just the pre-patch. So it's still decently, I mean, obviously relatively powerful. And then we've got a couple hunters in here, and I think we've seen in the past stats too, kind of hunters doing pretty well. Murloc Paladin and Aggro Paladin still in here, so Murloc Paladin's almost unaffected by the actual nerf, so that's not very surprising there. But Q Block only shows up once, and it's 10th. And this is after Mike Dene replied or tweeted, I can't remember if it was a tweet or if it was a reply to a post saying that somebody was complaining about Q Block. With some kind of like snarky post, right? Yeah. And then Mike Dene said that basically the Q Block is the 13th most powerful, or when you're ranking the decks, the Q Block shows up as number 13. So are we just like, is this a total misconception? I mean, or is this a classic case of just like everybody really getting on top of the anti Q Block boat? So it really just looks like Q Block is not good.
There's multiple reasons for that. First of all, Q-Block is not a bad deck. It's the same as... first, you need to play it well. It's like, remember when Patron Warrior was like, I don't know, 10th best deck in tournament meta? It had below 50% and stuff. It's the same with Q-Block. Most people don't really know how to use it properly, or like they use not good lists, so the win rate drops down quite a lot. Like it's the same for every control deck like that. Like even like in previous meta was J-Druid. J-Druid had a really bad win rate, like below 50% most of the time. But people were getting good ranks with it still, and used it in tournaments. Like Tom won the world championship with J-Druid.
Yeah, I mean,
so
watching you guys pilot some of these decks is like totally changes win rate percentages, right? Like, so
I think Questroke is also an optimal example for it. On ladder, it was like 30% win rate, but it had to be nerfed. Yeah, it was just way too strong.
Well, I think a very good example in history was just Patron Warrior. I think Patron Warrior at the lower ranks was never as crazy high as it was at the higher
even
ranks.
In tournaments. It was below 50%.
Yeah, exactly. Which actually that's a counter argument to what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that you guys
it's not a counter argument. It was overall in tournaments, but the top players, they piloted so well, so it was like it seemed really broken.
Right.
And like I had above, I think in tournaments I had like almost close to 100% win rate with Patron Warrior.
Oh, okay. So you're saying it was good, yeah, in events, yeah.
Like except Patron Warrior mirrors, so yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So, anyways, interesting behavior, at least in terms of like what people are, definitely still playing. Clearly, Secret Mage though. Like, there's 4 different versions of Secret Mage in this top 15. So, I don't see Mage going anywhere. And this isn't even the kind of big spell Mage that we were kind of seeing pre-patch too. This is like all out secret, crazy, kind of aggro type of Mage. And then lastly, we did a query that was more like matchups. How some of these matchups have changed. And the ones that are blue, by the way, are the ones that flipped from basically. Some of them are really close. So I mean, it's really just more of a baseline type of approach I took to it. If it flipped from basically a favorite to an underdog, I kind of marked blue. But the pink ones are the ones that obviously took a hit win percentage wise, and then the green ones obviously the ones that went up. So if you kind of look at the top here, it looks like, I think a general trend from some of this is that Zulok seemed to take a hit too, in terms of some of these matchups, especially against other tempo decks or aggro decks. Like Zulok seems to be ranking lower now than
obviously.
Yeah.
It lost Patches, Corridor Creeper, and Bone Mare.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
it's crazy cards. How it was just being propped up by those 3 cards, like in a big way.
I think Bone Mare is the biggest deal. For
Yep. I think that's what we're seeing too, and it's kind of interesting because even with like just the very first one, right, we see a 12% hit against a Miracle Rogue, that's Miracle Rogue. Okay, that's not Tempo Rogue. That's actually just Miracle Rogue. That makes sense. That's a pretty big difference. Secret Mage versus Murloc Paladin. That took a big hit too. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, that's always just never been a favorable matchup. It's just even worse now. Any of these kind of stand out to you as being like flipping in a crazy way? Zulok versus Murloc Paladin. Obviously, that's a huge flip right there. Let's see. Spiteful seemed to take a... No, actually, Spiteful is doing better against aggro Druid. Wow.
Of course, there is no more corridor.
Yeah,
creepers.
no more corridor creeper. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I think it's mostly actually patches.
Yeah.
Because both of the decks have corridor creepers, but like you just don't get rushed down as a Spiteful as much.
This is kind of interesting. I don't know if this is, it's obviously 600 plus games, but Q block is down against Paladin. Huh.
Because Paladin started ran Spellbreaker.
Yeah, like you have
Spellbreaker in the Zoths.
you have the room now, and you can high roll even more with Divine Favor now as well.
Oh.
Like because you're not stuck with corridor creepers oftentimes. Like you can really just flood the board and get
I see
Divine
what you
Favor.
mean. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, totally. That totally makes sense. See some other big switches. Okay, Spiteful is definitely... Oh, no, actually Spiteful does better against Q block now.
I think that Spiteful will come back like even stronger the following weeks. I think this will be like dominating. I don't see really decks that counter Spiteful decks.
I don't think we'll see a hit to Spiteful until the Dragons. Which one? Big Priest?
Yeah. No, Big Priest loses to Spiteful Priest big time because of double mind control. Like you have
I guess mind control.
Well, Spiteful is like if you look at Sixo, he destroyed at Seed Story Cup. Like he played the big. It just hard counters every big deck. It really does hard counter big deck.
I was thinking like because of when I was playing Raza, just like like if you get 2 screams, you just win right away because you just
if you just get one scream, actually you win. That's my experience. So
I mean, they just run out of cards. With 1 scream, it's usually not enough. But you have like Undoing and then like Dragonfire.
Well, it's not. Well, if you're talking about big versus Spiteful, I don't know if you're talking about Raza versus Spiteful but big versus Spiteful. Literally, you land in 1 scream against Spiteful, you pretty much won the game because the rest of your cards kill. It's like you either get like a 9-drop that is crazy that heals you and kills stuff on the board, or you end up getting in the mind control stage, right? Which if you steal like a 10-drop or something, it's like ridiculous. So it's an interesting matchup, but I think you're right, Gaara. I think Spiteful is still
but
better.
Spiteful does what Big Priest does as well with Spiteful. Like you get an actual 10-drop, not just like a Shadow Visions. You get an actual freaking 10-drop on board, but you curve into that, and you curve into mind control.
Yeah,
but
like
insane.
I said, if you reset one time though, you're able to actually catch up completely as a big.
The only problem is Warlock for the deck.
I completely disagree because the Spiteful Priest is favored against Demon Lock, and Demon Lock kills the board like 20 times.
Yeah.
Like you only have to play like 2 minions or so, and you have like a big board again.
Yeah.
But without Corridor Creeper, maybe it's less now because you can always just play 0
and
mana
Bone
Corridor
Mare too.
Creeper plus...
Like I think the Bone Mare push back to 8 is a pretty big deal for Spiteful. Like so. I think that prior to all this, you're right. Like I played enough Spiteful. I definitely beat Big Priest like a good number of times. Yeah. So but I think that the Bone Mare might be even more impactful. Obviously, Corridor is huge too, just because you can get like these turns where you put 3 good sized minions on the board, right? So, So okay, I mean, looking down more of these. What else do we see here? Aggro down. That's not too surprising. Okay, let's see the favorites. Let's see if any of the favorites kind of.
I think the most interesting is probably to look at Inner Fire Priest because a lot of people saw Inner Fire Priest as a stronger version of Priest even than Razakus Priest. Like a lot of people even went to the highest ranks.
Yeah,
I mean it's not really good against aggro decks, so now it shouldn't be good. When meta sells down mode, like when people find a way to counter this secret mages and Warlock and Paladin, like have a soft counter to those.
Yeah, that's really hard, but yeah, that's true.
It's possible. The decks are not like, especially besides Warlock, they're not that strong. Like you kind of get some control warrior. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So we look at this though. We saw Mekkatorque makes a pretty big progress, at least on Zulok. I guess that's the biggest mover, at least that from that standpoint. Murloc against Secret Mage. It's kind of like, I guess, vice versa. We're kind of seeing both sides of the equation here.
I think Miracle Rook might be probably not good versus Secret Mage.
Yeah, this is just kind of the inverse, I think, of what we saw at the top. Oh, there's Dragon Priest in here. So let's see. It looks like Control Warlock is favored against Dragon Priest now. Wow, that's
It always was, like, because of Geist.
oh right. Okay.
Like, it's not only Geist, it's just
Yeah. That's why you have to still run Geist.
just because of
I know.
wall.
That's so funny. That guy, yeah, Geist is just good enough to have to run. Like we have all these tech cards that are like making it into decks, with spell breakers and
That's why it's so
Geist.
outrageous.
Yeah.
How, like, if you look at Shaman, for instance, Shaman is already so bad, and Geist passively hard counters also Shaman. Like the best two cards from Shaman, Unstable Evolution and Evolve.
Yeah.
And you don't even try to counter Shaman.
Shaman feels bad, man. So you were, dude, Gar, you were telling me that you thought that Shaman was going to be good post reset, right?
In theory, it is. I also playtested it so much. The thing is that Shaman doesn't really have a win condition, and on top, like the Shaman cards are so old that we are playing right now. Like you still play like Jade Claws, Jade Lightning, and the bot clears are by far the worst. And you overload on top of it. Like Shaman has the worst bot clear in the game. It is really the worst bot clear, and you overload on top of it.
I
Like,
know.
if you look at Lightning Storm, you still have to play Lightning Storm.
So why do you even think it's going to be good then? Like why?
No, because
like
it can counter. It can beat Warlock. It definitely can beat Warlock. But it loses to everything else. It literally loses to everything else. You get destroyed by Secret Mage, and you have no curve. Like you have no early game. But you can beat Warlock and lose to everything else, and that's like not good enough.
What about Giant Spellstone Shaman?
come on. Come on, dude.
The Spellstone is the worst stone from all stones. Like Shaman is literally the worst legendary weapon, the worst board clear, the worst healing, the worst win condition.
Worst Death Knight?
The worst Spellstone.
Maybe not the worst Death Knight.
Blizzard make sure
Okay,
that
which
Shaman
Death
won't
Knight
be
is
the
worse,
tier 1
Paladin?
deck anymore.
Yeah, well, okay, is
Really
there a
make
worse
sure.
Death Knight than Thrall?
No, Thrall is good, Death Knight.
Wait.
Yeah, because every Death Knight is good. But
what are your worst Death Knights in your opinion? Who are
Uther is the
Death Knights?
worst one.
Hunter?
And no, Uther is the worst one. No, Hunter is good.
One.
Uther?
Rogue One.
Wow. Some people think Uther's great, dude.
Yeah, because every Death Knight is good. But if you compare it to the other Death Knights, Uther is the worst one.
And Rogue One as well. I think Rogue One is the worst out of
Yeah,
all.
those two are switched in positions. The
Oh,
Rogue
wow.
one is more
Rogue One.
playable because
Really?
Paladin is.
Man, I think Rogue, like in today's meta and environment, looks the worst. But I still think the Rogue one is potentially powerful, depending on what cards are out there. But
You
if
have
it's
to
more of a
compare it-
value-based meta, then that's crazy. That's an exceptional card, right? Or,
No, Chamber, you have to compare it with the other decays. It's because every
Yeah.
decay is so powerful.
yeah, I mean,
It's-
but it does depend on the meta too. Like if it's an aggressive meta, then anything value-based, even the Hunter one is terrible, right? So it's
Ooh, Hunter One is great in value based.
not terrible, but I'm saying like in a non-value type of meta, then the Hunter one is not as as ranked nearly as high. It's actually ranked probably on the lower side. And same goes for like the Rogue one.
I mean,
too,
Hunter is
so-
the third worst one. I mean, he's right after.
He's not that far off. Okay. Anyways, we're talking about like the worst of the Death Knights here. But kind of getting back to Shaman, so I mean, you were talking about more of like just from the standpoint of what you feel that like from an archetype standpoint will be good after like a reset, and you still think that Shaman's going to be good, and that's kind of surprising. Like
It's the only control deck that has 4 disablers with the Wolf and Hex. You can deal with cubes. You could technically disable both Doom Guards and both Void Lords so that Godan doesn't summon anything.
yeah,
you can
but-
also play
cards.
yeah, but you just
What?
die to aggro. Like literally, what can Shaman do against aggro?
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. And I
Zero.
thought like
Like,
when
nothing.
Corridor Creeper and Patches are gone, right? That's a huge hit to aggro. But Shaman is so weak that you still lose to aggro.
We need the return of Tunnel Truck.
I was thinking 100
Into
draw
a
cards,
golem.
like Monetides. That's the only way.
Manatite Acolyte Thanos. And you can
Oh,
also play
Acolyte.
and you can play the 3 mana vision thing that reduces the mana
Metalist
cost.
Volcano, yeah. Volcano is a good removal. It's a pretty good one.
No, it's actually pretty bad. Because you need to have a board. You can't kill
Yeah.
your own board. It's really bad. And against like Void Lords and stuff, you can't Volcano. It doesn't kill
Again,
anything.
I think these kind of shaman cards are like balance,
Yeah,
2016, 2016 level type of balance, and
Exactly.
now we've got Psychic Scream. Why do you compare freaking
Yeah.
Volcano to Psychic Scream?
Exactly.
It's like
No, compare the best comparison. Compare Defile to Maelstrom Portal. Maelstrom Portal used to be like the best 2 mana board clear. Now we have Defile. Defile can kill anything. Maelstrom sucks.
No,
Yeah.
Maelstrom
It's
does not suck. It's just
yes,
it's not
yes,
as,
you maybe kill patches.
not as
There's
good
more
as
patches to kill.
Defile.
You can't. No, really, you wouldn't.
Yeah,
even
right
play
now
it
It is pretty
it
bad.
has
Yeah.
no purpose.
It's good against aggro Pally, but Murloc Pally is
No.
terrible.
No,
against it.
it's
There is no Magra Paladin though.
Yeah.
it's only Murloc Pally, and it doesn't kill anything against Murloc Pally.
Yeah,
It
okay, to your
it's-
point, you'd have to run like spell power or something. Yeah, that's true.
And Azure Drake is no longer in the game. It's only Thanos.
Yeah. It's
Like,
it's
Shaman
brutal
sucks.
for Shaman. Like we talked about last episode. Shaman completely whiffed 2 expansions in a row now. So like
I mean, it's made on purpose.
I can't.
Of course.
You think it's on purpose, man?
Of course.
You
It
should
is on
never whiff
purpose.
like that on purpose. Like you should never make like completely worthless cards. And I mean, for the most part, they completely missed on
I think
this
it's on
expansion
purpose.
last.
They really don't want to have a shaman meta like 1 year ago. It was really bad.
Yeah,
for
but
everyone.
okay, that's fine. All right, you can make them weak, but do you foresee this freeze or this kind of totem-based type of themes? The
Never.
totem-based might if they add some kind of buffing totem thing.
No,
But
because
it's-
in the same expansion, they implemented cards that absolutely hard counter it, like Dustbreaker, Psychic Scream,
Yeah.
Spreading Plague.
Yeah,
Like
true.
those cards, like Psychic Scream versus a totem-based deck. It's like, come on.
Well, I mean, like Shaman was all about going wide, right? Like historically, and even design-wise, I
Yes.
feel like it's about going wide. And now we have great board removal in the game.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Except
right.
Shaman.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, anyways, why don't we well, actually, just a reminder, guys. If you want to dust your cards, this is the time to dust those 4 cards, and just kind of hold on to your dust if you want it. But
Oh, this is something we should also talk about. A lot of people are interesting to safe to dust, like to tell people that it's definitely okay to dust Corridor Creeper.
Mhm.
100% okay.
Mhm.
It's okay to dust everything.
it's good to dust
because-
everything, and then you just recraft it if you want it again. That's fine.
Yes, but like I'm not sure. What do you think about patches? Like I
You
think
can
there's a
still
chance.
scrap it later.
I think you
Yeah,
dust.
yeah.
There's no question, Gart. You dust
Yes.
it all, and then if you want to recraft it, it's the same price as what you
Just-
dusted at, right? But I think your question is like, is it playable, right? Like,
Yeah,
what cards
exactly.
are playable? Yeah. So
If this
if we're answering
cards,
that
yeah.
question, maybe Bone Mare. I don't think patches is that bad either. It's just people, well, obviously with the charge, it's just always been crazy. But we'd have to have a pirate centered deck. It needs to have the synergy too, and in wild, definitely playable. I think in a pirate deck, depending how strong pirate decks are. But in standard, I don't think so. I mean, would you play it? Maybe if they added some more powerful pirates, then getting that free
I
one.
think it might be playable in Aggro Druid, because
Yeah?
you need tokens and it's a pretty solid one.
Yeah, and it didn't. Yeah, in Druid you didn't rely on the trading from the patches as much. It really is about just getting stuff on the board.
Yeah.
This is why you used to play also the 0 mana penguin. Like it is not a good card,
Hey,
but
for free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Just whatever, 1/1, right, for free. You probably get it for free. What's the percentage? Maybe 2/3 of the time, 70%, something like that, right? So patches is still good. Anything that comes out for free is good. It's just not broken good.
and he's even better when other people don't play patches. Like
Mhm.
that makes patches automatically even better. That's why I'm
Ooh,
thinking that
okay.
patches might actually make a comeback.
Yeah.
It's if nobody plays Golaka and nobody plays patches, that makes patches so much stronger.
Okay. Yeah, good point. Okay, we got a couple more things to announce, like news-wise. So Blizzard, you know how we talked about the sweepstakes and we talked about taxes, and people are like, "It's not taxes. there's no taxes involved because like we don't own the actual accounts or anything like that. But you can be taxed on even service-oriented things, guys. So there is taxes, and like just to support that, Blizzard added $1,200 to smooth the I forget how they worded it, but it's basically to help smoothen the acceptance of this prize. So they added $1,200 just to basically pay for anything that you might have to incur from it, which is really cool. Because it's no fun to have to like get something and then it's not as great as you thought it was originally. So that's so expect a little bit more if you're that lucky person. Keep doing quests every day, guys. Because there's no indicator that shows you've done it, so you just kind of have to keep track of it yourself. Make sure you do one quest a day. And there's one more week left in that sweepstakes. And then lastly, HCT Oslo, the pro stop was announced. And I guess the question is, are you guys going to it or no?
I'm not going.
I think, man, like Norway sounds like super expensive. So I don't know, man. It doesn't seem tempting to me because Sweden is already so expensive. Like a hotel there for like a couple days is $1,000 or something.
Ooh,
and Norway is like twice as expensive as Sweden. It's like
really?
It's the most expensive country in Europe. So it's not really tempting if there's no qualifier for it to just go there. Like
man, you're enticing people to actually go, because if there's not very much competition there, people are just gonna go for the
people are going.
Okay.
And I think you can find accommodation that is not that like.
Wait, who do we know that lives in Norway? I mean, we gotta crash their house, right? Like all the players just crash at this guy's house.
Asmodai.
There's no way Asmodai's gonna live.
He's not gonna skip streaming.
I tell you that right now. Yeah, there's no.
Even if it's right next to his door.
He streams in the middle of the night too, so you're gonna be up all night with he's streaming. So
I need a lot of hype for the first two stops, especially in Europe. Like it's the first open tour stop. Everyone will go try to how it's going. Maybe it will be like everyone have high hopes.
Yeah,
I don't. So I'm more realistic person. I try to be very efficient what I'm doing, and my goal is to just qualify to prelims and try to do well on those. And I don't think it's really worth it to go for just the chance to get points.
Okay.
So
well, these are the decisions that pro players have to make. It's like, these trips are not paid for. The pro players have to pay out of their pocket to get there, or at least if you're on a team, if you're on a great team like Storm or G2, it might be a different story. But some folks, if you're just the average Joe that's not on a team yet you're a good Hearthstone player, you're gonna have to be paying thousands of dollars just to even go to these things. So we need more teams. That's basically what I'm saying. More teams in the space. That would definitely help out. Okay, so I think the next thing we do is just kind of take a little bit of time to really thank the patrons and that support the show. You guys are the ones that 100% back the show. Patreon.com/ValueTown. If you want to support, go there and make a pledge. The way it works is that you make a pledge and it basically takes that pledge for each episode that we do. Just so if we don't do an episode, you don't have to pay anything. That sort of thing. Just in case people are not familiar with Patreon. And we got this great these great supports we've had for a while. Want to big shout out to our legendary producers Mike T and Gotrix. Also Engine S, Raydan, Bob K, Old Man Riv, Johnson C, Grant A, Louise L, Vince F, Philip K, a random guy, ASMR, and then Alistair M. Thanks so much for supporting the show. And oh, by the way, all the stats that we were looking at, that all comes from hsreplay.net, guys. Go to hsreplay.net, find out what the best decks that you should be playing right now are and how they're doing, and just find out actually how you're doing, in terms of your decks. Grab a Hearthstone deck tracker too. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is, I figured we would talk about Kingsbane Rogue. I don't know how relevant it is right this second, but I think, Gaara, you were saying that you think Kingsbane Rogue will still be good, even after this patch. But, there was a lot of talk about it, at least the week leading up to the patch. And I just think it's a cool deck. It's one of those decks that I think is high skill cap. It's got definitely interesting ways of winning, whether it's the mill strategy, which is generally the most common way, or even just beating your opponent down with just like a 9 damage weapon. That's pretty nice too. So overall, what are your thoughts on this Kingsbane Rogue?
I personally hate it. I hate
Okay.
I hate when there's decks that don't have counterplay to the strategy. Like this is why I hate, for example, Quest Mage. I hate Quest Mage for many different reasons. But for example, you can't really do anything about the weapon, right? You can play Skulking Guys to mill deadly poisons, but as Neirea said, you don't really rely on that to win the game. It's just like usually you have like Harrison Jones or something to counter weapon, but that doesn't really work.
There is a combo that counters it.
Let's hear it.
They go to fatigue, and you play Uz Nosferatu. Easy game.
Yep, that's true. True that. You can Lich King and get the steel card too. No, that's a steal a minion, right? That's not steal a weapon.
Reliable.
Oh, that's steal a minion. That sucks. Yeah, yeah. Nosferatu is the best route to doing that. But so let's just say there's not a counter, right? I mean, I don't know. Like for this one, I don't feel as bad about this one as I do about Mage sometimes. You know, like I feel like I'm pressuring them pretty good, like pretty regularly. But then again, I'm not playing probably against the best Kingsbane Rogue players ever. But do you have that same feeling too, Neirea? Like, is it like a single player game basically when you're like in a way when you're playing against it?
I played only from my side, so I can't really know. I played some games against it, but I was playing aggro, so I didn't have any problems. It was pre-patch, so
yeah,
it was even easier. But just in general, yeah, there is a problem with it. But since the deck requires kind of, it's not even a skill cap. You just need a good knowledge of the deck, how it works usually, like the timings when you go call that oracle, when you save your vanishes and like saps and stuff. And if some like player like Colento will play the deck against you, yeah, of course you will feel terrible because you will feel like he has everything and you can't just stop what he's doing.
Right.
But general against average player, it won't be the case, and you'll find few spots when you can just push some damage, or they will just make some mistake, so you can counter what they're doing.
Yeah, or they'll just have rogue things happen to them, which is they'll draw 2 backstabs and 2 prep, or a prep and a shadows, like just all spells and just be screwed. I mean that just happens.
No Collate Oracle. You can also pull the Collate Oracle with Dirty Rat, and then it really hurts. Like Collate Oracle is so important to the deck. So if you don't get it, you'll just run out of cards really quick.
I think it is definitely one of the most fairest decks from the non-interactive decks.
Okay.
Because it's rogue.
Yeah.
Maybe like because it's not that strong.
That's the case. I think that's the reason. Yeah.
Yeah, but also it's like, for example, Mage has ice blocks and a bunch of freezes, and you can't, get on board and pressure it or anything like that. And like rogue cards seem more fair now because it got nerfed like a bajillion times. Like pretty much every single rogue card got nerfed at some point or rotated into Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's like most interactive deck out of all uninteractive
decks.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I'm trying to say.
Well,
and there's some counterplay to it.
Yeah, I mean, you can do certain things like, even just preventing them from getting the squid face, right? Like, you can prevent them from getting
you
some
can
of the
silence
buffs on
it.
them. Yeah, or steal it, whatever,
You can freeze the face.
Or you kill the weapon and then you kill the squid face.
Yeah.
But against Quest Mage or something, you so rely on just, I have to get a lucky dirty rat. Like if you play a control deck, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Like getting on board is irrelevant, like pressuring them is irrelevant. Like everything is irrelevant if you're playing like
and funny enough, as a paladin now, the secret doesn't really work because there's the 1-mana guy that gives you armor.
Yeah, that's true. God, that
true.
1-mana guy is so good. Like I'm so happy that they added that card to the set because it's
really good in Quest Mage.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good in a lot. Even just like the spell mage one, right? Like,
but we won't see that much of the big spell mage.
Yeah, so kind of going through this Kingsbane just in case folks are listening. It's backstabs, prep, shadow step, deadly poison, doomerang, 2 of them. 1 Kingsbane, Cavern Shiny Finder, just so you can get those weapons whenever you use them up. Leech Poison, Sap, Cold Light Oracles, SI Agents, Elven Minstrels, Naga Corsair, Southseas Squidface, Captain Greenskin, Vilespine Slayer, Vanish, and Valera. There's like little differences. Like there's definitely variations that probably have different 3 cards probably, But for the most part, most of the main elements are in here with this current deck. And the one thing I like about this deck is that historically Rogue has always been like this kind of really cool deck, right? And it's never been good just because you're just so susceptible in the beginning, when you're playing that sort of deck. I feel like this deck does a good job of alleviating that to an extent. Like you do have like this leeching potion ability to actually heal some now as a this rogue. You still have the elements that you had before with backstab and just boomerang. You can add a flurry in here too in place of one of these cards, and that's pretty good too. So I like that they made it better early game, just a tiny bit better early game, and Rogue could actually be a thing. I mean, that'd be pretty, I don't know, as interactive as it is, it's kind of entertaining to watch though whenever people are playing it.
Yeah, because it's kind of new. Like that we haven't seen before. Pretty sure if the deck would get popular, like in 1 month, even in 1 month, people would already get bored and complain about it a lot.
It can't be too powerful, and I don't think Kingsbane Rogue is quite there.
Yeah, because Cold Oracle, as a card, doesn't give you that much power to be above everyone.
Yeah.
Like there was no historically a deck that used Cold Oracle and it was like top tier 1 deck.
Yeah. No, definitely agree with that.
Oh, no, there was, but it was pre-Nux.
What was it?
It was Backspace Rogue.
Oh yeah, yeah, good old Backspace Rogue. No, Backspace Rogue was good. Definitely taught you how to play aggro. Like I remember, I didn't really I remember thinking, man, I don't even know how to. I never really knew how to play aggro right until I started playing Backspace Rogue. But I figured with deck of the week, we're going to be doing deck of the week. We do it every week, and if you guys are wondering what that is we pick a deck, have everybody that wants to participate play it, and then we have a little mini Value Town show that we do on Mondays, like a real 30-minute kind of thing where we just talk about like what our win rates were, what we learned from it. And I figured we'd do this one this week, so we'll do Kingsbane Rogue. I know we did Miracle last week, but it just fits because since we're talking about, we'll have to do Rogue twice in a row. So I'll post it on the Patreon site. Again, anybody can take part in it. Patrons are just like the guests on the show. So it's kind of something that we do for the patrons. And you can find those on SoundCloud, by the way, soundcloud.com/ChanManV. But okay, why don't we do some Mekkatorque's Workshop? So we got a couple cards here. We've got Hellhound, who's actually a member of the HS or the Hearthstone community. And he's got a couple of them. He makes a bunch of these cards. So I just picked a couple that we could talk about. So first one is a Warlock, and these are custom cards, by the way, guys. This is more just like throw some ideas out there, see what you guys think. Warlock card, 2 mana, epic, Mimic Void, silence a minion, add a copy of it to your hand. What you think?
Confuse. It's the card from the not Confuse. It was Priest card, right? Just with silence on top of it.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Yeah.
I don't remember the name.
It's mind. It's some kind of mind thing, right? No.
It was something on C, or not?
C. Chat. What is it? What's the one where you could like basically copy, just whatever card, right? Whatever minion, right? And then copy it to your hand. Convert. That's what it is. Convert. Yeah. So convert. So convert was never good enough by itself. So convert with a silence, though. I mean, we're talking like Void Lords and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, but what would you silence you own if it's Warlock card?
Oh, mirrors. See what else could you silence? Lyra.
You silence Lecky and get your own Lecky. GG.
That's
nice one.
Okay. I mean, the mirror. Obviously, there's a ton of applications in the mirror, but maybe Antonidas or. It's kind of interesting.
I think the cards that don't give you value, they're not usually good ones and don't affect the board anyhow. Like Silence, Silence effect is good, but I'm not sure about Convert effect. I don't think it's that strong.
Okay. Yeah, I mean I think the only thing I would argue for it is just that Convert allows you to actually have a card that that wasn't in your card or wasn't in your deck originally, so it gives you some flexibility on top of the value. So like a Rin, let's just say you wanted to copy a Rin, something like that. That's it gives you some type of end game that you weren't even expecting to have.
Yeah, it gives you some interesting type of games where like it doesn't happen very often, so you kind of have different game plans maybe.
Yeah.
You get
Go
certain
Trick said
decks.
Tyrion. Yeah, Tyrion would be pretty good, man. Yeah, I'd take Tyrion. That'd be pretty nice.
I,
Okay.
I don't like. I think such cards are super bad for the game. I always immediately think, okay, you play Mirror, he plays Nizorf, right? You play Mimic Void on the Nizorf and then go Twisting Nether and then play your Nizorf next turn. It just seems so broken.
Yeah.
You would play this over
Yeah, that's-
Spellbreaker.
I think it's a really good card. Yeah. So
It's super powerful.
yeah, it's really powerful. So to your point, it would be, I don't know. It's definitely along the lines of what they have been doing. So I wouldn't be surprised if I
Yeah.
actually did see a card like this.
This would not even be like so broken in current state of Hearthstone.
It's pretty sad. Yeah.
We have pretty much every deck's infinite value if you think about it. It's like value is like
Right.
It's not-
Like-
it's not a
every
problem.
deck. Not every deck.
like value. Yeah, I mean, for the playable decks.
Yeah.
Like it's like the way how you beat value right now mainly is Rin. Like you just kill that deck.
Wait.
Mhm.
What?
Or just kill the opponent.
You just went. You just went. You mean you just pressure them?
No, you
fast. Yeah.
you play Rin.
Oh.
You kill that deck.
Yeah, if you're playing
Oh.
control mirror, you can't just kill opponent ever or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
outvalue him. It's
Yeah.
impossible.
Right. Got it.
Like that's why control warrior is not seeing much play, because before it was able to like outvalue any control deck, but now just impossible.
Yeah, it just gets beat down pretty. Or I mean, well, I mean, it still has the infinite cycle. I mean, you can outvalue everybody. You just can't stay alive long enough with Dead Man's Hand, right? I mean,
The deck is not good. I mean,
but it's an
the deck
infinite.
doesn't-
It's an infinite deck though. Like, there's not that
Yeah,
many.
it doesn't matter. For example, Big Priest has so much value and so much pressure in the same deck. For example, like
Yeah.
it would, like Warrior can't do anything about it. Like you get destroyed. It's very similar with Big Druid, or Jade Druid, or Rin. You just play Rin and kill their deck
Yeah.
and pressure them at the same time. It's
Yeah.
crazy what the tier 1 decks are capable of doing right now.
Yeah, well, they're dynamic, right? There's multi facets to them, and that's why it's so hard just to
Yeah.
straight up counter them. But that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes at least events exciting, at least for me. Okay, so the next card that he has Hellhound is another card, which is Elements Combined, and this is a Shaman card. Shaman needs help. So this is a 3 mana spell. It's an epic. Adapt a minion for each of your totems. So this is something at least that's in the helps synergize with this whole totem theme that seemed to appear this expansion. Yeah. So what do you think?
bad.
Okay.
I mean, the card by itself design is not bad, but the thing is, like I tried to think like how can you make multiple totems at the same time. So the only way is to play the guy that summons totems for
Yeah.
2 mana
Mhm.
and get for him the Brun effect, the other 2 mana guy. So it's like you maximum can summon like 3 totems per turn.
Yeah. And the totems don't do anything unless
Yeah.
you get this card down. So
And
You need to
have a
do.
minion on the board. You need other minion on the board.
I think this
so
this
you
should
can
be
attack.
cheaper. I mean, at least this should be cheaper. I think.
Nah, 3 mana is fine. It's like you have 6 mana to pull 3 totems, and then you have 3 mana to do this, so it's like 9 mana combo. But the problem is you still don't have a minion that can attack this turn. I guess you can play like Stone Tusk Boar for many mana. Just get the
Yeah.
TK one. But adapts 3 times.
Not
I
great.
played
Yeah.
a lot of Dungeon Run, and adapting 3 times is not as strong.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, that's true. That's actually very true. Okay. Yeah. So I like this energy with the totems. I just think that it needs to be something guaranteed, or something a little bit more right off, like immediate too. Any of this kind of combo element to Shaman, I think just doesn't work. Like they just need good cards, just straight up, to really help the class right now. So
Totem Golem.
yeah, dude, Tunnel Truck Totem Golem, let's bring it back, man. It probably still would be only okay.
Like in
it still would.
the pre-nerf meta, Totem Golem Tusker Totemic would be just average cards.
Well, you know
Yeah, I think
why,
so, too.
Gaara? You know why? It's because evolution is like such a theme for Shaman that helps you know, with these cards that were understated, you know, body wise, so that you can get, you know, this crazy deal. But those cards are different. Those cards are actually overstated for where they are for mana, so it wouldn't actually work properly for them. It's like 7/7, like 4 mana 7/7, right? Like that's terrible for evolve.
Yeah, I was thinking about how, like, what kind of started mini would you even play right now with Overload for 4 mana? Like, would you play a 4 mana 12/12 with Overload 3? It's probably
Yeah, of course.
Come
You
on,
just
dude.
kill
Of
them
course
with
you
their
would.
sword.
No,
That's crazy
no, dude.
good.
How do you kill it?
You would not play. Are you serious? You would not
No,
play
you-
a 4 mana 12/12 Overlord 3. You still get 2 mana the next turn.
I guess you guys have not played Shaman. Like, Overload right now,
No,
if
I
you
don't-
Overload one turn right now, you lose the game. I actually played
I don't get a
Shaman.
12/12
I haven't won a game.
though. A 12/12?
Yeah, you do this with Spiteful Summoner on curve.
But it's 6.
Yeah,
For
that's
4.
at 6.
Yeah, but you don't Overload. Spiteful Summoner curves
It's a
out.
pretty big deal to get.
Come on,
big-
a 12/12
better
on
stats
4, Gaara. I mean,
like,
sure, okay,
yeah.
I'll give you
With
credit.
Overload. No, with Overload.
No,
I
okay.
think the Overload
There is
important.
overload. Okay, there is overload, and I do understand that there is like early game removal in a lot of different classes, like priest and you know, even shaman. I mean, there are ways to remove like big minions like
And
that.
Shaman has no curve before that as well.
But you know, you would make up for the fact that it's overload by you know, playing giants, and you play other things that synergize with overload. So it's not like you're just taking straight overload and that's it, right?
Pretty
So
sure Shaman would still suck even with 4 mana 12/12 with Overload on it.
all right,
Hey, that's
we're
another
gonna take a
question.
poll on
The
that.
card is
like-
good though. It would be
12
great.
Yeah,
12
but
man, man. I'm gonna make that card next to Mekkatorque workshop. We'll talk about it. Oh my god. Okay, next one we've got. Oh, this is funny. We've got a card from Andrew, who's a patron. It's Chronormu. It's a 1 mana 1/1 legendary, and it's pretty cute legendary. Battle cry: return the game to 2 turns before, and discard this card. So how do we do that? So do we so basically go back in time
like
and bring
rewind.
back the board state?
Yeah.
Okay.
People put the cards back in the deck, the 2 cards they draw.
Well, maybe it's
Get the cards
is
back
that
in the hand.
interesting? But is that interesting?
This is actually pretty cool.
I
That's
like
super cool.
I like at least. I kind of wish that we wouldn't reset what the cards we draw. I kind of
But I think it's too powerful.
yeah.
Because
So-
imagine like you're playing like as a control deck against aggro, and then you're like dying, literally dying,
Yeah.
and then you just play this card and you're like back to 20 HP or something.
But everybody
you
still
put
gets
no
back the same
pressure.
cards they played, though, right? So literally, the benefit that you get is you kind of
Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, it depends. Like if it's literally just rewinding, everybody still has the same.
but you have
cards.
information about opponent's hand as well.
Yeah,
so
you do have
can, like,
information. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
you
For
can
example-
play the same scenario.
Imagine you go all in against Divine Favor, and then you get blown up by Divine Favor, and then you go back 2 turns.
Yeah, no,
and then
that would totally, because like sometimes you take a chance, right? Sometimes you're
Yeah.
like, you know what, like I'm just gonna playing the odds. I gotta take a chance here.
Or right now against like pre nerf against Corridor Creeper, right? You get blown
Yeah.
up by double Corridor Creeper, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna turn around.
No, that is pretty cool. But what kind of deck would you play this in, though? You know, like it's a cool
Basically,
tool.
control decks.
Control decks for sure.
Yeah, maybe like some kind of control that has a.
Maybe it works in like combo decks as well. Like if you think about it, Kingsbane Rogue, you go for 1 line and it didn't work out, and then you can go so many different lines, right? And then you just go for a completely different
The
line.
only problem I see it's 1 mana. So like if you play it on like turn 8, let's say, yes, you get back to 2 turns before. So basically your turn gets reset or what? It's like or we have still 7 mana to play with. Like 7
I think that so officially, I think it would reset at 2 turns from where you are. So I would expect that you would reset it 2 turns, and maybe like 1 man, 1 mana is like
I mean,
whatever
then
mana
the
cost.
card should say end the turn as well, like kind of ends the turn.
Yeah,
So you have to play it last.
it's either that or it just like wherever you are mana wise. Like if you, yeah, I mean, there's a
Well-
little bit of
well, the
ambiguity
thing-
there. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Like
from that
Forbidden
standpoint.
Ritual and Forbidden Shaping, just like
Yeah.
it costs like all the mana basically. You
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
But
So
I
you
thi-
could
I
do it
think-
either way. You could do it either way. And end turn, or you could just like reset it. It's still your turn, but you have that mana cost. Like
I mean, it
whatever
doesn't
mana-
matter what you
yeah.
do if you play the card anyway.
Yeah.
I think the card is great
I think it's
because
cool,
it costs a card as well, right? It's
Yeah.
not broken
Yes.
because you have to play the card.
Yeah, it's really good in aggro if you play into, you know, like a Dragonfire Potion or a, you know, a Psychic Scream, and then now you know, so you don't invest any more into the board.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of
But
thing.
you can not play into Psychic Scream.
I know, but still, like,
back to it.
yeah, but still, like, you can at least maybe save a card or two in your hand. You know, like, I mean,
think
you can at least make that evaluation, right? Instead of just
Yeah.
going all in and you lose, right?
Imagine you do it against big druid. It goes like wild growth into ramp, into nourish, into killing you, and you're like, okay. Or maybe you would reset RNG as well, right? Like if
RNG
someone goes
draws?
Spiteful Summoner, gets a 12/12 and you rewind,
Oh, that's
he could get
Oh,
your.
that's a good question. Does it reset RNG? That's
course.
another
Yeah,
cool
also
one.
Gaara, right? What do you get from the
Ooh,
top?
that's kind of cool, dude. This card's cool, dude. This card's
Yeah.
really cool. I don't know if it falls into the accessibility thing, but this is really.
Imagine you go all in on your Yogg-Saron. It doesn't mean in the game, and then you go to
Well,
you
Yogg's
go
gonna be
again.
gone. We don't know where that Yogg soon. So, yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Another try. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. This is mulligan. This is a mulligan in a different way. This is mulligan card form, basically. Okay, yeah, great. Yeah, that was a really cool card, Andrew. But anyways, thanks Hellhound and Andrew for submitting the cards. And if you're interested in sending us, you know, cards for future Mekkatorque's workshop, go ahead and email those to valuetown@chanmanv.tv, and we'll definitely try to get the best ones on the show. Okay, last thing that we've got today is we've got Q&A. We've got a question from Ahmed N, as usual. How do you rate Secret Mage Spiteful Priest decks to target Warlock?
I think Secret Mage is not that good to target Warlock. Yeah, because you can have one magic card called Plated Beetle with Umbra, and then you just out heal every damage Secret Mage puts. And like the only key to success, you just need to get this Warlord on the board like as soon as possible, and after that you just play all those like Umbra Beetle, Umbra Mistress of Miniatures, Spellstones.
Yeah, but people are playing like a Polymorph Potion and double Polymorph right now, and Pyroblast list. They're like a very anti-Warlock list because they don't have to fear aggro anymore because of no Corridor Creepers, no patches and whatnot. And it depends on how greedy the Warlocks take against each other as well. Like
yeah, that's true.
If people drop Beetles, like I wasn't playing Beetles, but I was playing Beetles before just because aggro is weaker, right? And then Mage gets good again because they play very little healing, they have the polymorphs and just burn you out.
That's also true. But you can also just text either of Secrets.
Yeah, that's true.
I think this is what will push out Secret Mage. It's the number one tech card, Eat of Secrets.
Yeah,
it's very good
because it relies on that, you know, the explosive runes, right, for just some damage. So getting rid of those, and obviously the tempo on the board too is huge. What about Spiteful Priest? I historically have done well with Spiteful Priest against Warlock, but Spiteful Priest is worse now. So is it still decent against Warlock?
I was playing it pre-patch on Neirea. I was winning most of the games against Spiteful Priest as a Q block. But it's mostly because you can cheat mana really hard. Like they have no way to deal with Doomguard. So basically, if you get the weapon, you basically win against Spiteful Priest.
Yeah.
They can't really stop the Doomguard cubes and just going on to your face. Right now, like it's still like it's probably the same matchup as it was before. Bomber is not a big deal in the matchup. It's mostly about Spiteful and operatives, like what operatives gets. I got some interesting things against even against like Dragon Priest as well. From operatives, like they play operative, they get cube, and then just like potion. Twilight Acolyte, Potion Man is your Void Lord, and then just cube it. And they have 2 cubes, you have none.
That's okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, so operative is still a pretty big deal against Control Warlock.
Yeah, I hate that card.
Going away soon. Yeah.
I think it will be the same matchup.
Okay.
Even though I'm not a fan of Spiteful Summoner deck, I think it's too.
It's Curvestone, man.
Yeah, it's Curvestone. I don't like those type of decks.
Yeah, it's definitely the. I don't know. It's kind of like this powerful deck that is somewhat accessible too. So that's the reason I didn't really
Secret
mind it so
Paladin.
much. Secret Paladin.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same
yeah.
archetype.
Yeah, I
Kinda.
see what you mean. Yeah. So you know, it's had its place, but you know, it was good that we had more powerful decks around it too. Otherwise, it would have been terrible for Hearthstone if it was outright the most powerful deck ever, or just in the current era. That would be bad. Okay, yeah, so, you know, hopefully that answered your question, Ahmed. And again, any other questions you have, go ahead and email us too. But I think we're going to wrap up. That's it, man. We kind of got through the talks pretty quickly. I'm kind of excited to get back on the ladder too and try some. I've been having too much fun with the Big Priest, man. I don't know I don't love the Big Priest, but there's something that feels good about just taking Void Lords when, you know, it's a control warlock and they're just trying to faceless things and I'm just like stealing them left and right. There's something too satisfying about that.
Actually, before the patch, it kind of predicted that it's gonna be like Big Priest is gonna be a thing for sure.
You think so? Okay, yeah. It's good. I mean,
it's gonna be good.
Which one?
In some, I think Big Priest is still gonna be good in some way or another.
Yeah,
like, at least we will see it in tournaments for sure.
It doesn't get affected much by the reset either, I don't believe. So I think we lose Barnes. Barnes is a big deal. That's all.
You lose Isharaj and Barnes, right?
Yeah, Yasharaj. Yeah, but there's probably going to be some other big. I mean, I think Barnes is more important than Yasharaj actually, because I think there will be another crazy giant minion that they'll come out with. But Barnes being a mana cheat basically for it, you know, in an indirect way. I think that is something more rare. You know, we don't see that very often. You know,
don't we lose Dragonfire as well?
Do we? I guess we do, right? Yeah, I guess we do lose Dragonfire. We still got Sighting Scream. I mean, Priest has so much removal. It's like stupid anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, yeah, try that out, guys. It's pretty good if you're having problems with Warlock right now. Actually, I've done well against aggro too with it, surprisingly.
Yeah, but you lose to Secret Mage, and I think that's the #1 problem for Big Priest.
You actually was like Big Priest. I think it was favored against Secret Mage.
I run double greater.
I guess now against the thing, the Potion of Polymorph, it's kind of harder. Actually, it doesn't matter because you summon it for free.
Just run double greater, man. Just go crazy greedy. Like,
yes,
just literally
exactly.
Double greater healing, and you will not lose to Priest.
The Seed story, Stanglass was playing it, right? And he was winning against Secret Mages.
Yep. Secret Mages only have so much damage. So if you can, like, make sure you account for it, you're fine.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's two hero decks against each other. You never beat Alunef. It's 0 chance.
No, you beat it by out-healing the thing. You don't beat early curve. Like, if they just go mana worm.
Yeah. If you lose like a double mana worm, you lose to that. I give you that. But
yeah.
But if it's late game, I mean, it's closer. It's a close game if they have a Luneth like all the way down to cards and they go into fatigue. Those are really exciting games. But if they don't get it like super early, then you pretty much handle. Once you start getting your big minions down, you pretty much win, right?
I can tell. I played Big Priest like in December quite a lot. The thing that I was losing to is just aggro. You get smoked by paladins, especially by Murloc paladins. You just don't have if you don't get answers to board until turn 6, you just die. You have no way to.
The graders help a little bit to buy you like maybe one turn.
Yeah, just to stabilize.
Yeah,
for one
I literally just heal myself sometimes just to buy one turn if I have like a dragon, fire potions and or a scream. But if you can scream one time, you just win. Like it's generally how
if you get to turn 7, you already won. That's pretty much how.
Yeah, that's what's frustrating about that deck. It's like
most
you
games
literally
you
just
lose.
feel like I can't do anything after you get to turn 7. I'm just dead. Like it's stupid.
Yep. Yeah. Most games you lose turn 5 when you lose turn 5. 6.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, let's wrap things up. Neirea, this is fun, man. We definitely need to have you on. Like I say that like a lot, but we definitely need to have you on again. Like
see you in 2 years
in the coming months. Yeah, not 2 years.
2020.
Oh God, like how does that happen? How do people not come on for years? Man, I don't understand. Man, this is crazy. It's my bad. It's definitely my bad.
Would be great.
Yeah, it's completely my bad. But Neirea, we definitely had a great time rooting for you this past year and at Worlds. Kind of wish Worlds a little bit better for you, but I know you're gonna make it there again this year, so I'm
No,
not worried
it's gonna
about
be
you.
next year. It's like one.
Oh, every other year? Okay, it's
yes.
every other year. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
just follow the tradition.
Yeah, it's time to break tradition, man. Both you and Gaara be there, right? That'd be good. That'd be great. But any shout outs you want to do before you take off?
Nah, it's fine. Shout out to Radu.
Radu. Okay.
We are not slow anymore.
We're
if
not
you know what I mean.
We're not slow anymore. I don't know that inside joke there, but
It's from Trinity. From you guys are slow.
oh, we're not slow anymore. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Good old Radu. Obviously, friend of the show too. Gaara, how about you? Shout out.
Also big shout outs to Adiu.
Just have Radu on the show. Jeez. Yeah.
And that's about it. Just shout outs to Adiu.
Okay. And for me, just everybody that's watching, obviously, and everybody that supports the show, at the patrons, especially at patreon.com/valuetown. You guys for doing the show with me. And if you guys want to find the VODs, you can still find the VODs at youtube.com/ChanManV. You can find the audios just for all the folks that listen on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud.com/ChanManV. If you want to leave us a rating, a 5-star rating, that helps a lot. So please do, because that'd be amazing. And a big shout out to hsreplay.net, obviously, for just being just kind of helping us with doing these shows every single week too, and providing us just all the stats and everything that's awesome. Go to the site, sign up now, guys. Subscribe too if you want to get the best up-to-date stats that you can possibly get for your just your play and become a better player. I think that having the right deck is really important for becoming, or at least getting as high as you can on the ladder. But that's going to be it, guys, for Value Town number 154 this week. So for Neirea, Gaara, and myself, ChanManV, we'll see you next week.